didn't see
The
Pacquiao's
phantom
punch coming in. That was just amazing to watch. You know, I think they needed the third angle possible before you could actually see his punch come inside Ricky's hook. It was incredible.
Yeah, Pacquiao's one of those very technically accurate, correct boxers who also has phenomenal cardio. So yeah.
So, but a few fights ago, Pacquiao was laid out by JCC. No. Yeah, see, shouldn't wing it on air. I can't remember the name of the boxer who knocked him out.
Hey, I got a crazy idea. Let's talk about MMA.
Yeah, let's go right back to UFC.
Let's talk about wrestling or
this
something.
Sunday morning, I guess, over here anyway, UFC Fight Night 61. Dave Fruitman will like me for that because I got it right this time.
Yeah. Hope you're listening, Dave.
Yeah, Bigfoot against Frank Mir. Yeah, so fighting in Brazil, actually, this time.
In Brazil, all right.
In Brazil.
Now, Frank Mir's last big claim to fame was just about tearing Brock Lesnar's arm off, right?
Oh, yeah, but he had a fight with Antonio Nogueira.
Yeah,
that's right. He actually ripped out his shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't he credited with like dislocating and breaking more limbs than anybody in MMA? Something like that.
Yeah, sign me up to face him then.
Yeah,
definitely. I remember the fight with Tim Sylvia way back in the day where he
broke his arm,
his forearm. You know, I mean, yeah, he's got phenomenal power.
And Tim Sylvia was one of the physically largest MMA fighters, other than Lesnar, that's ever.
But you know, we have Edson Barboza.
Yeah,
Brazilian Edson Barboza, who's been on a tear in his weight category. He's on the card. Michael Johnson.
I like Johnson.
Yeah, and the other guy
he's a judoka, right? Isn't he the judoka?
No, he's kind of more stand-up karate.
Oh, stand-up karate.
Yeah. So that should be an interesting fight. And then, of course, at the end of the month, we have Ronda Rousey up against Kat Zingano, who should have already had her title shot against Rousey, but she got injured.
Well, my thing about Ronda Rousey, because now I'm studying judo, so I'm coming at Ronda Rousey from two different angles, MMA and judo. And my thing about Ronda Rousey is like, you know, women's MMA is so new, and there's so few women, you know, fighting, and how much experience do they have, and you know, it's hard for them to get experience because, you know, a lot of cards don't even have women on them, and this and that. I just think Ronda Rousey is like a plane, you know, eight levels higher than anybody else.
Well, the man sitting next to you is completely and totally in love with rowdy Ronda Rousey, I have to say.
Yeah, because she has a phenomenal attitude towards. Wait a minute now.
It's a family show.
It's a family show, but she has a fantastic attitude towards the fight game. Her mentality is focused that she will not walk out the loser.
She has the best coaches. I mean, she got Judo Gene LaBelle, man. Judo Gene LaBelle. Right. And he's a sadistic bastard.
How many medals did Ronda win in the Olympics?
She won a bronze medal for her Olympic.
And I believe she has a Judo World Championships.
Yes, maybe so. I don't have the background on her here, but yeah, she's certainly a caliber.
Yeah, so she's come in off quite a successful amateur career before becoming a pro
Very much so. And she was also in the other tournaments leading up to the UFC. It escapes me right now. The one that was, we'll come back to it. Yeah.
Well, but the thing about female judoka versus if it's a male judoka and a male wrestler, I'm going to go with the male wrestler. If I get a female judoka and a female wrestler, one of the big differences is women's judo has been around since the 50s. And judo for women has been in the Olympics for, I don't know, like 20 years or something like that. So you've got women with significant experience in top level, you know, competition. So like Ronda Rousey is part of that group.
And of course, now I remember Strike Force is where Ronda Rousey really laid down her domination for that women's category, and then the UFC had to take her in because she was that good.
Yeah.
Kat Zingano is another caliber athlete, ready to possibly take the title from Rousey. Really?
We may have a bet. Of course, as a monk, I cannot bet.
Of course not.
I won't even flip a coin because that seems like gambling, but we may have a bet here.
Either way, it's going to be another exciting weekend coming up, and at the end of the month, we have another exciting MMA fights. And
all right, so that's a bit of a roundup what we're going to see tomorrow morning on TV, and then later on in the month. And I know Alan's really looking forward to rowdy Ronda Rousey's next fight defending her current title. Let's get back to some music before we get to the top of the hour. This is George Ezra and Blame It On Me. This is Phnom Penh's #1 hit music station, Radio 1 FM on 103.7 FM. Or maybe you're listening in on the internet, you're up on easycom.com somewhere around the world. Or maybe somewhere around Cambodia. Alright, this is the final hour of the Saturday Drive Time show, and I was just taken hostage there by my guest, Antonio Graceffo.
Well, because Captain America doesn't have a song, we played Kryptonite by Three Doors Down.
Okay, then we're going to have to make things nice. If you get to play, Alan gets to play. Crew, Alan, what song would you like to play this afternoon?
This is one it just catches me every time I jump in my car. I turn on the radio, I turn up the volume, and then I just can't get enough of this track. This is AC/DC, Rock or Bust.
3.7 FM. This is the last half hour of the last hour of the Saturday Drive show, which means that soon I'm not going to be talking with my guests anymore. They were busy there talking, getting ready to talk over the top of me talking.
Unbelievable.
I want a hamburger.
Yeah, Antonio's hungry. He's sitting beside me. He's looking at my arm. I'm kind of worried. He's,
For the folks at home, I lost 12 kgs, and I'm hoping to put some of it back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Alan needs to be worried about. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard Shrek talk in the movies, and you've been listening to him talk all afternoon on the radio.
Aye.
He's a rather large Scotsman, but he doesn't apparently live in the swamp.
I got myself out of the swamp. I was in the swamp for a little while.
And then that's when you decided to move into the radio station.
I thought he was that Scottish sumo wrestler from Austin Powers.
I eat babies.
Yeah, I'm not saying it.
I just said it. Did I just say that?
You didn't say his name. I think you just came up with his catchphrase.
Get in my belly.
In my belly.
All right, so what are we seriously talking about here?
I think it's just a case of understanding the concept of MMA is what we were talking about, and how the road for Antonio now is he's looking at judo as in a more serious aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's training on the light booty.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's true. No, well, yeah, I'm doing judo now, and I just feel like it's the forgotten art of MMA because, everybody knows that wrestling's dominant, and it is, and of course jiu-jitsu, but I think judo is an art that a lot of people need to go take a look at, man. They do all the Nawaza ground fighting,
All right, so you're telling me that finally we have somebody who's not going to stand around going, BJJ and Muay Thai striking, BJJ and Muay Thai striking. You're saying that, hey, judo has a serious place in this game.
It does. And then the other thing is that there's a lot of criticism against judo where they go, but, if you're not wearing the gi, they can't do that. Well, you know what? People said that about jiu-jitsu at one point. There was no gi jiu-jitsu before. I don't know, maybe there was before there was MMA. I don't know the history that well, but it started certainly with a gi, just like judo did. It was, and that's where judo came from. And 90% of the throws could be done without the gi. But the big thing about wearing the gi in training is that you develop phenomenal strength in your forearms and your hands from gripping the fabric.
Sure.
Well, okay. One night at KWC, I asked the man sitting next to you, how the hell do you do a judo throw when you're not wearing a gi? And he dug his fingers into the back of my shoulder and demonstrated how you grip someone and throw them when you're not wearing clothes, when you're only wearing briefs or shorts. Now, you just said that gripping the gi gives you forearm strength, I assume, like a rock climber would have.
Yeah. The interesting thing, because I do Greco and I do judo at Sports University in China, right? So, but Greco is actually my main study, right? So my Greco teacher at 80 kgs is one of the strongest people I've ever seen in my life. Like at just 80 kgs, he's as strong as a heavyweight. Even I've wrestled with guys up to 120 kgs. My 80 kg teacher is stronger. All right, now with my judo teacher, he doesn't have that kind of strength, but one of the very unbelievable things he has is this grip strength. It's just like a monkey. I mean, the grip strength is just insane from pulling on the clothing all the time.
Yeah, but the dimension changes a little bit when you go judo without the gi to the gi. You have to be a little bit more technical when you go out without the gi.